I need to verbalize it, because if I write it, it won't shed the light that I want it to. That happened maybe 2 hours ago, and I just came home from school, like half of my sock is falling off. Why do you even care if half of my sock is falling off? To reiterate that this is super impromptu, that's why I'm telling you this. Please don't take this narcissistically at all. Like, me posting this is nothing to do with me trying to acquire any attention about myself. On the contrary, I'm actually trying to get this message out there so that I can just express to you how strongly I feel about putting yourself in this kind of situation that I just put myself in not long ago. And this is applicable to everyone. And please try and decouple me from Tina for a moment. Just kind of view me as a messenger for however long this lasts, because I'm just delivering to you what happened to me and why anyway. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so today when I got off the metro, I saw this man who was playing the guitar, and he was homeless and he was just sat there. I approached him. So I saw this beautiful soul, and I told him, so I don't have any money on me, I just have a card, but I want to tell you that I think you're fantastic. He is, and he was super thankful for that. This man was really, I can tell you, otherworldly. So he was telling me stories about how he has incarnated multiple times on Earth, and how he's actually from multiple other dimensions, but how God sent him to the material world to save humanity and to tell people that money and material wealth is not everything that there is, and to save them from damnation of the devil. That being said, maybe this came to him in a vision. I don't know exactly the backstory. He was convinced that this had occurred to him and this was real for him, and I value that in the sense that that is his truth, and I am to honor his truth. That's his on the ground, in the body experience. And though maybe he can't provide like empirical evidence for people about what happened to him, that is still his true experience for himself. And I think that that's lovely, and that he was able to share that with me. I just sat there and I let him play his music for me, and I let him tell me his stories and his beliefs and just about himself. It is beyond me. I can't even put to words what this man has actually withstood in his life. And I spoke to him for maybe about 2 hours, and you might think not everyone has time for that, and granted that not everyone has time for that, I'm going to tell you what he told me afterward. He was talking about saving the earth, right? And I told him, can I just tell you, Mark, that was his name, you are already a piece of salvation on earth just by playing your music and by healing people with your music. That's what you're doing. I can testify to that. I mean, you fulfilled my experience of knowing who I am just by me hearing you play. And he told me earlier today, I asked God to send me someone who would come to me and who would listen to me. I have all of this in me, and I have no one to tell it to. All of my frustrations, all of my pains, all of my history, all of my experiences, I needed a canvas to vent to. I needed someone. And he told me that was you. And he said I was about to jump in front of the train, but I asked God, just send me an angel so that I could feel heard, so that I could tell them my story. He was going to kill himself had I not come along and sat with him. I'm no more important than anyone else on this planet. I'm myself, and I'm just a vessel, and all I did was see this soul who people were turning a blind eye to, and I went up to him and I offered him nothing but my attention and just sat with him. All I did was listen to him. All I had to do was be that person that he could let his words hit the air to hear and to digest and to understand this man and to be there for him. That's all I had to do. And I'm here to tell you that you have the opportunity every single day of your life to be the gift to someone, to be an angel to someone. He told me that I saved his life, but can I tell you that while I'm not in his situation, I see him as a mirror to myself. And I regard him as an angel. I told him, I believe you are an angel. I mean, and him telling me that I had fulfilled his life, he easily had done the same for me, because I got the opportunity in that moment to know myself. And that is the greatest gift I could ask of anyone. It is the most humbling thing to be able to be that for someone, and you have that ability every single day without fail. There are people waiting to be heard. There are people who have their hands out to you, and this is not to make you feel bad, but this is to awaken something in you, to tell you that you are it. You don't know the magnitude and the extremity of what an act of grace that is. There are people with their hands out to you asking you for something. And it doesn't even have to be money. Can I tell you that I went to this man with no money, and he anticipated that I was the person that was sent to him from before, because he told me, when you came up to me and you told me I don't have money, he's like, normally a lot of people tell me that, and I just kind of brushed them off and whatnot. Not that he was money hungry at all. On the contrary, he just needed someone to speak to and to play for and to value him. He told me that you were it. You were the person I asked God to bring me. And that's not because I'm Tina and that I was like a chosen one. It's because I chose to approach this man, and you can choose to do exactly what I did. This is not an inflation to my ego. It's not at all. Please see through the lines here. Don't harp on the fact that I'm telling you that this happened to me and oh look, I'm such a good Samaritan and a human being because I did that. I'm telling you that you have the ability to do this, and I'm having difficulty stringing words together right now, but words are evading me here. Because this sensation is so strong, and this sensation is not words. What happened to me for those 2 hours that I spent with this man are not words. I'm here to tell you, you don't need to devote those 2 hours that I did. When you see your neighbor, your fellow neighbor, human being, whoever it might be, with their hands out, they are there to offer you a gift. There's a reciprocity there. Find the gift. There's something more to that. And by the way, can I just say that a lot of people have this stigma attached to that, where they think that they're gonna use it for drugs. Fine. I mean, if that's your judgment, I can't say anything to that. I mean, to each their own. But let me tell you that I'm trying to be a voice for these people, to tell you that people use the drugs so that they can numb their pain. Do you know what some of these people have gone through? Rape, sexual assault, general domestic violence. They're fleeing probably the most terrorizing hardships to have occurred to them in their lives, and they use drugs to numb their pain. They use drugs because that's their form of escapism. They don't have other forms of recreation. I mean, we can go to the movies, we can go to clubs to have a good time. They can't necessarily do that. And drugs allow them to do that. Drugs are that portal, that gateway for them. Some people use it to gamble, and that might turn people off. But I personally don't mind, and I'm trying to tell you that try and picture yourself in that situation. Sometimes drugs are sustenance, and they need that. They need that. What troubles me more is that people just walk past them like they're nothing, like they're actual pieces of dust. That's what Mark told me today. He said, like, when people don't actually take the time to hear the music played, he's like, then you become a fool. People look at you as a piece of scrap. Oh my God, what I was feeling throughout those 2 hours is inconceivably immense, and words will never encapsulate what just happened. Ever. I can't. That's why I'm a bit shaky. I can't really properly convey what I want to, but I'm trying to tell you that not only homeless people, any person who looks in distress, who you can be that angel for, do it. Acknowledge them. These people just want you to validate their existence. This is not me talking. This is your conscience to say, the next time you pass by a human being who has their hands out to you, I hope that a voice goes off in your head to tell you to approach them. It doesn't take anything away from you to validate another human being's existence. This person who's crying out to you is you in another form. Can I tell you, when I saw Neill Donald Walsh at my spiritual workshop, and by the way, Neill Donald Walsh, he was homeless for a year when he was 52 years old, just to say that he actually lived this firsthand. But when he wasn't homeless, or this is what I believe anyhow, he had seen a homeless woman at a Starbucks, and he approached her one day after so long of wondering. I think he asked her, why are you doing this? Like, why are you asking people for money every day, type of thing. That's what I can recall in the best way possible. And she told him, for you to know who you are. That was her answer. When he asked her, why are you begging? She responded, so that you may know who you are. I want you to let that sink in. And I'm not trying to tell you that you are a bad person for walking past an individual on the street. They're very stigmatized. And so take the time to understand them, to ask them what their story is. The question, what is your story, can actually heal the planet, because there's something that someone is going through right now that is waiting to be liberated. You do not know the chain reaction to that. This man liberated what he needed to have liberated. I wish I could express this more fervently, but I can't. I can't. When people are like, why don't these people just get jobs? They're so lazy. You know what? You really don't know their story. Can I tell you, when I went to go give sandwiches out that I made last year to the homeless, and I was talking to a bunch of these beautiful souls, like, man, this one woman who was at a shelter was telling me that just like 3 months before, she was planning on doing the exact same thing as I was, distributing sandwiches to the homeless or amenities, and she said, but here I am. I spoke to another man who I saw outside of a concert hall, and I gave him this great big hug. I gave him some pizza, and he told me, you know what? I had a job. There was no one to fall back on. Do you know how many of these people have been abandoned, who have lost their jobs, who have no other outlet? There's nowhere to go sometimes. Don't assume. We all carry prejudices. However, try and question those biases. Question the prior assumption. Truths are never solid. They are always subject to change. My faith is shakable, because when new clarity arises, I acquire new perspective. Question your biases, prod at them. Always know that you can be the light. There's this beautiful quote: I have come to the room to heal the room. I have come to the space to heal the space. There is no other reason for me to be here. And I live by that philosophy. Now, obviously, this is not absolute truth. Granted, this is just a way in which I live. There's no black or white. This is the dominant philosophy, and this way of living, it takes prevalence over other ways of living because there's more validity to it. This is just how I choose to adopt a way of thinking, a way of life. I'm just trying to drop a little seed right there, and you can take it if you'd like, regardless if this is the way in which you want to live or whatnot. At the end of the day, you are actually the light unto another person. If you think like that's all airy fairy and whatnot, it's quite literally factual. All I did was approach this man. It's not like there was some self-fulfilling prophecy I was trying to get to, and this was all intuitive, and this was serendipity. I just gravitated towards this man, and I just offered him my time, and lo and behold, that's all he needed. This offered balm for his sufferance. The amount of people that I have approached, and again, this is not narcissistic, I need to get this out there so I can just put some attestation to what I'm saying so that it can make more sense to you. I saw this homeless woman outside, and she said, you know, thank you so much for giving me your time. Everyone passes me by, no one stops to look at me, and this is my first night homeless. I just got evicted. She said, look up this Bible passage. She gave me like Psalm, I can't remember what verse it was, and I wrote it down, and she just said, thank you for doing God's work. I just thought to myself, like, my God, imagine if we all just, there's this quote, I don't know how much longer I'm going to make this. I'm going to have to make cuts. This is really long. But there's a quote by Neill Walsh that is my favorite quote in the universe. But it's shakeable. My truth is subject to change. But at the moment, this is my favorite quote, and it will always hold importance to me. But there is something here that I don't know, the knowing of which would change everything. There's always something that one of us doesn't know. Me hearing this man's stories today changed everything for me. I went on that metro back home, and I felt like I was in this state of existential euphoria. I can't describe it to you. This man, oh my goodness, was a light unto my world just as much he regarded me unto his. Please try and put yourself in these people's situation. Yeah, they might use the money for drugs. They might use the money to gamble. But question the prior assumption. Whatever you assume is likely not correct, and give them the benefit of the doubt. That is your opportunity for you to know who you are. And we all come from the same light. We're all regenerative of the same source, the same light energy. Whatever you define love to be, whatever you measure the highest sense of self, whether you want to call it love, whether you want to call it grace, whether you want to call it euphoria, give that back to someone. Give someone back to themselves every opportunity you can. Now, I'm not here to tell you that I'm perfect, that there haven't been people I've passed. I remember once there's this man asking for weed, and I was about to put money in his cup, and then I actually read his sign, and I took my money, and I was so appalled at myself. But then I reminded myself that life may call upon me more than once to prove who I am by demonstrating an aspect of who I am not. In that moment, I realized that is not who I am. Whether it is your money and whether it is a sandwich, whether it is your time, it is still a gesture in itself. Even though, in my personal opinion, there's not much human connection when you just drop a coin in a, it does, obviously, it shows that you care. It kind of just reinstates that, but I'm encouraging you to just find that human connection too, to just ask them if there's anything they want to get off their minds. I did that once, and I ended up having one of the most beautiful conversations with this man, and he told me some of the most profound wisdoms that I still keep with me to this day. I realized, me too, I would go and I would just drop a coin, and then I realized maybe there's something more. There's the knowing of which would change everything here, and I'm not getting to that, and I can. And I'm not saying that this has to be all the time. And to be a light unto one person is to be a light unto the world, and I believe that too. You can change the world for one person, and I believe that, but when you have the opportunity to do it multiple times for multiple people, please seize that. It just shakes me that I can't comprehend that I'm here swinging about my privileged life, and I hope that didn't come off insulting to anyone, but then I reminded myself, if I didn't have these exact conditions, these exact circumstances, if I weren't in school today, and if I didn't have that privilege to receive an education, every single moment of my life has led me here. And I believe that these things have been bestowed to me so that I may offer them back. And that can be in multiple forms. I'm not saying you have to take out all your cards and your food and rid your pantry, but give that grace back in another form. Make that human connection. Understand that this human being is you. What would you want to be done unto you? And that sounds like she's here preaching the golden rule, but why don't we apply it more? That is why I went vegan. What would I be doing if I were screaming out in agony in this animal's place? What would I want a human to be doing to me? And I became the change I wanted to see. If I can be that vessel, that beacon for them, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? What is stopping me? And there have been times where I've questioned, should I go, should I not? What if they're not actually begging because they look a little disheveled and maybe they don't actually need money and maybe they'll get insulted? So having this kind of internal dialogue that's actually just creating more noise in my mind, and then I miss that opportunity altogether, and that's happened to me often. And all I have to do is just, the second I see the opportunity, I shall seize it. And I need to remind myself of that more often. The wisdom that I've acquired through these beautiful people has shaped my life thus far, and I can't even tell you what it's done for me. I think that's all that I can get at right now. If you learn to find the gratitude in everything and to just be that energy, be the source of abundance instead of looking at yourself as lacking abundance. Choose to be that source of abundance and see what miracles manifest from that. Because I can guarantee you, you will have a shift in perspective and everything will align somehow. And I'm not saying this, again, to sound airy-fairy and that this is the answer to all of your problems, but it just might be. I sincerely believe that this knowing that would change everything comes to asking people what their story is. I don't know how much suffering would be left of the planet if we started to see ourselves in all beings and all beings in ourselves. I don't know how much suffering would still take place if we started to see everyone as ourselves. Just like Neil Donald Walsh says, the fingers, they look separate because they're individuated, but the source is still the same. And if you keep seeing people as mirrors and what would I do, you will fulfill your experience. I can guarantee you this, and this is not me trying to brainwash you in some kind of cultic allure. That's not my intention, and I hope that's not coming across. This is just me trying to reinstate that you are it. There's always something that you don't know, and that is the knowing of which would change everything. So don't be afraid next time when you see someone to ask them what their story is. You will know who you are better upon doing that. And if not, try it out and come to me if you don't feel that way. And we can have a healthy discussion about it, because we all carry different truths and not everything will resonate with everyone. But I could be wrong about all of this, but I don't think so.